So, namaste and welcome to Satsang today. So, Satsang is for the direct realization of the truth of who we are, what we are. And that truth is that we're not a separate person. We're not an isolated individual that's separate from everyone else. And also that we're not separate from the source, the Godhead, the divinity, the awareness that we seem to arise from. Satsang is for the realization of that, but also for the living from that place as that knowing, a deep recognition that has gone so deep that it begins to be how we live, how our bodies and minds interact in the world becomes informed from that realization and recognition of who we are, rather than the old way, which is that our actions and thoughts and words might be coming from who we thought we were, this separate being, this someone, this sense of a me that's a finite, limited being. When really the truth is the opposite, that you could never be finite or limited. It only seems to be so when we perceive through the mind and the senses, the human senses. And over and over again in my own journey, I found that whenever I was letting my mind lead the way, or being led by the mind, as it seemed more and more, that my perception of reality was distorted and things did not flow. There was a great deal of suffering. There was a deep feeling of isolation, loneliness, shame, a sense of unworthiness, and anger, and you just about every emotion that I'm sure you have also felt and maybe still feel sometimes. Most of all, this desperate searching and seeking for something more. And I did not know what that was. I had no clue, but I knew there had to be something more. I could feel that something was just driving this seeking and searching for something more fundamental and real, something that was stable and that would allow me to stop suffering. And over the years of my own journey, I heard many definitions of what awakening is. But there was one that I heard that really struck me. I had no clue when I first heard it, like what awakening is. I first heard, I can't even remember where I heard it, that awakening is a total transcendence of the mind. And that struck me as like, wow, I really, really want that. But I don't know how to make that happen. So I'd like to spend some time talking about what became clear to me about how to move beyond the mind in some simple ways. And if we can come to understand that at any moment we're experiencing our life, reality, ourselves, the world, either one of two ways. The first way is that we are thinking about our life, the world, awakening, everything. And we all know that one so well. We know what it's like when the mind is suggesting what we should think, do, and say and feel. And that's an endless wheel of suffering, endless. And the second way is that we directly experience ourselves, reality, the world. Those are all synonyms for me. Ourself, reality, and the world are all one formless nothingness that is purely sentient. So we can either think about something, and that could be anything, could be thinking about formlessness or thinking about what to have for dinner or anything in between. Or we could be directly in the experience of it as it is right now. The first is endless suffering, seeking, searching. The second is instant quietness and peace. And all we really have in any moment is a choice. Am I thinking about reality or am I actually experiencing it? Transcending the mind then became this movement for me towards the recognition of who I really am and choosing that more and more often, choosing that direct experience of my own essential emptiness. The body is a form, the mind is thinking about things, and those thoughts are forms. The emotions we feel are subtle forms also. But I and you and all of this, the essence of every single object or form or person, is formlessness. And that all spiritual practice that we do, all authentic spiritual practice, is simply a way to come back to the direct experience of what is true. To come away from thinking about reality to actually experiencing it. We can get a taste of that right now if we play with this question. What do I know to be true without using my mind? What do you know to be true without referencing your mind? So if we can begin to recognize that self-inquiry, even our contemplation, our meditation, is a way of directly experiencing our own nothingness, our own intangibility, and allowing that then to infuse the mind with realizations and recognitions of what that means. Can you die? If you are in substantial formlessness, the body will. But what about you? Can you suffer as insubstantial formlessness? The body might be feeling some resistance or some pain or some emotion. But are you affected by those as formlessness? And if we can remember that anytime we feel that we are suffering, that it's only because we have gone back to thinking about something. And it doesn't mean that our mind has to become completely silent. I never managed to make that happen. You'll never manage to make that happen. But that there can be a stopping and a recognition. And if my body is feeling tense or tight, or any kind of negative emotion is present, then somewhere I must be listening to thoughts about reality. And thoughts about reality or myself are a closed loop. Thoughts thinking about who it thinks we are. Mind is thinking about who it thinks we are. It's like if you were in a library and in that library there was a whole section of books on who you really are. And all of those books were written by people who had never really met you, but had heard about you. How accurate are those books going to be? Or the other side of that library, there's a section on travel to Australia. And all of those books about Australia have been written by people who have never been there, never seen a photo of it, never heard anyone speak about it. And yet we're referencing this source, the mind, all the time, as if it does know what it's talking about. So compassionately understanding that the mind is choosing a next thought based on the previous thought and not actually what is based on what is occurring actually and what you really are. We can begin to see the futility of referencing the mind. And I don't mean that mind is useless. I just mean that perhaps it can be the second place we go to rather than the first and only stop for information about ourselves and the world and our awakening journey. What do you know then about yourself or the awakening journey if you don't reference the mind and some memories and fears and doubts and those kind of things? What do you know about what you really are if you don't reference thoughts? Doesn't mean that thoughts aren't necessarily going on, but that you notice them, but don't automatically choose to go with that. What if there's a deeper way underneath the mind that we get to through curiosity? What is it that I really am? What is it to actually experience myself rather than think about myself? What is that like? So there's a shift of focus as awakening deepens from thinking about reality, ourselves, to actually experiencing it. Self-inquiry, meditation, and contemplation, all the core teachings we work with are ways to really shift back out of standing in the middle of this library, reading these reference books that really have nothing to do with who we really are. And again, I'm not anything against the mind. I just know that it is limited to what it can perceive. In fact, it can't perceive. It can only think about what has been perceived through the senses or directly in our self-inquiry. So in our self-inquiry, we might experience, or even when we ask this question, what do I know to be true without thoughts? Suddenly there's this quietness. I don't actually know anything without referencing thought. And that may feel really uncomfortable. Like it's a habit to want to fill that space, that formlessness, with thoughts about something. And as we recognize that uncomfortableness and just let it be there the best we can, and choose to experience what is the actual experience of myself like. To experience myself as that which has no edges or borders or boundaries. It has no shape. It is not a form. It is always here. The same as you're always here. And the experience of who you really are has this authority stamped upon it. It feels real. It feels authentic. It feels powerful. And it leaves us no reference place. There's nothing I can tell you about myself after all this self-inquiry and satsang and meditation. I still don't know anything about myself. And the difference is that I'm free now of what I think about myself. There is no capacity left to reference the mind first. The direct experience is now the default setting. We can experience this now. We could ask, what am I? You can ask yourself, what am I? Notice the urge to reference the thoughts that come and just gently let them come and go. Notice anything phenomenal that arises, thoughts, emotions, all the things that come and go do not reference to you. They're absolutely fine, and thoughts are good sometimes, and of course emotions sometimes will be there, and our sensory perception is going on through the body. All of that is fine, as long as we're not referencing only that as to who we are. So when I began to realize that the mind had nothing useful to tell me here, that it's a closed circuit of thoughts about thoughts, that there is a thought constructed picture of myself in the mind, and that is who the mind is talking to. It's not even really talking to awareness. It can't see the formless awareness of silence. It can't see. It can only think. So choosing again by preference, again and again, until it becomes a habit, to experience that which cannot be described, which is what you really are, is a total transcendence of the mind. It's not a process. It's if we ask a question now, what am I? And we don't reference thought to answer that question. We have totally transcended the mind in this moment. Now, leaves me with no reference point to describe anything, actually. And there's a peace in that. There was also fear for me at first. I have nowhere to stand, no concept to hold on to. But there was a sense of freedom and a peace that was there also. And the fear fell away over time and became a deep sense of joy and deep peace and bliss and contentment. That we could be walking around, these bodies could be walking around, and that we don't have anything going on upstairs. Or if there is anything going on upstairs in the mind, it's just a thought. It's got no reference point. It's not talking to me. There's a disconnect. And again, I've nothing against thought. But just to see that it's a closed loop, and therefore naturally the curiosity comes for a deeper experience of who we really are. We find ourselves suddenly falling in love with self-inquiry and meditation, even if we don't know what it is or how to do it. Suddenly there is this fascination or urgency or both. Just because we might never have experienced ourselves as this formlessness doesn't mean that it's ever been true that we are something, someone. And when you experience this formless nothingness that you are, it will have this sense with it of this is what's real, this is what's true even now, and has always been. So, what if total awakening, total transcendence of the mind, were simply a way of living right now? Are you listening to thoughts about what I'm saying? Or are you just here listening deeply? Like a active receptivity, kind of. And if you're listening to thoughts, mind is saying, I don't get what she's talking about. I don't know how to do self-inquiry or meditation. Just noticing that and choosing differently. Choosing, is there a deeper way to experience myself in this moment? That question will open a door and take that door off of its hinges. And we know what it's like to listen to the mind, right? We know what that's like. We know where it goes. We know how it feels. Constantly on this up. If the mind says something good, we're elated. If it says something bad, we're deflated. And it's like this all the time. But living from this deeper place, actually wanting to experience whatever it is that I am, it's always the same. It always feels the same. And that may sound boring to the mind, but a deep recognition of the emptiness that is behind all form and that never dies and was never born and that cannot suffer. And that reflects in our experiences of contentment and peace, joy, deep, profound love for all of existence eventually, because recognized to be our own self. That naturally, as you taste this, you choose it more and more just because you love it. And yes, there's no person choosing this. It's just being chosen. Awareness choosing itself, we could say. And we're not rejecting the world of forms and phenomena. They're all just fine. But let's not experience our human life asleep at the wheel. Let's not be so lost in our heads the whole time that we don't even actually see what we're experiencing through the senses. We could be in the most beautiful place on earth. And how many of us can actually experience that, just experience it, without having to conceptualize about it? So just this question, if it resonates for you, is there a deeper way, a more fundamental way to experience myself in this moment? We're not making thoughts wrong. We're not making the mind wrong. It's just a reference library. And when you look something up in that reference library, it says, see that book over there. And you go to that book over there, it says, see this book over here. And it just goes around and around, disconnected from what's actually outside of the library, completely disconnected. No wonder the poor mind can't actually find peace for us, or it has tried. So that's my invitation to you today, to choose this And if you find yourself choosing thoughts, to not blame yourself for that, because if you do, then you are choosing more thoughts, right? You recognize that you're subscribed to some thoughts. You just hit the refresh button and go, wait a minute, what's the deeper way to kind of experience myself now? And as you choose it and choose it again and again and again, it becomes the only way you can live. You still have access to mind, but mind is able to rest in between those times, to go completely silent until you need it. So just moment by moment, a choice of how we're experiencing. You can only experience yourself or think about yourself. You can't do both at the same time. This is a choice that gets chosen more and more. And it'll change your whole existence, all of it. Okay. So we'll go to any questions there might be. We have live translation for me for Spanish to English. So if you want to ask a question in Spanish too, you can. We'll start with Enrique. Hola.
Hola,
Hi.
hola Helen, hola a todos. Me ha encantado el satsang, como siempre, pero el de hoy muy centrado y,
I
y,
have loved the satsang today, as always, but this one in particular was very centered.
y en relación al satsang, quiero comentar, eh, cuando a veces me doy cuenta y experimento sin pensar, o sea,
When
vivo
I,
la experiencia.
when I live an experience without thinking,
Noto una especie, como una sensación de vacío,
I have a sensation of emptiness,
como una desorientación, un silencio,
a silence, and a disorientation,
como una falta de control.
a lack of control.
Esto que acabo de describir es quizás que se deshace el testigo que observa.
This that I just described, is it the dissolution of the witness that is observing?
You could say that it is the recognition of who you are, this emptiness, this nothingness, and also some sense of a separate being that's still left there, feeling disorientated or without control. So it's a little bit of both, isn't it? I'm experiencing who I really am, and there's also a sense of someone that is feeling disorientated. But when we actually look for that person who's out, that doesn't have any control, we actually can't find it. And gradually, as we do that more and more and don't find this person, it does dissolve, as you were saying. It's just a sense, it's just a idea of a long-standing idea of who we thought we were, and it tries to speak about what's happening even when we experience our emptiness. It says, yeah, but I don't have any control here, or this is strange, this is different.
Sí, sí. Entonces, es, como tú bien dices, es cuestión de practicar y practicar.
As you say, it's a matter of practicing.
If we can see that there never really was a person, that all the time I thought about myself, that those thoughts weren't referencing a person ever, then it becomes clearer that the sense of someone, the sense of a person, is just a sensation. It's more of a feeling than an actual thing that needs to be gotten rid of, and that it's fears that the sense of a person has, that I won't have control, or whatever it's worried about, that those fears are unreal. They have no basis in reality. In this experience of who you really are, do you even need control there?
No.
You can just examine these things then as they come up and see, is it true for the formless emptiness that I am? And our mind will help us, right? It will say these things like, I feel disorientated, because we're used to feeling like a someone, and suddenly I feel like I'm standing in this vast emptiness. But again, if we are the emptiness, can we be disorientated? So just checking these out as they come up against the experience of who we really are, and seeing if they're still true for us.
Pero sería la mejor forma de deshacer al testigo egoico, personaje.
The best way to eliminate the witness, the character.
I wouldn't even try. I would focus all of your attention and time on what you already are right now. And that will gradually take away any energy that we are feeding to the sense of a person. It will dissolve by itself. It's only being maintained because we keep either believing in it or trying to get rid of it.
O sea, que es más sencillo y más simple de lo que creemos en principio.
It's simpler than we thought.
Yeah. You can't do something to get rid of a person that never existed. You can only come back again and again to what you already are and have always been. So it's much simpler.
Muchas gracias, Helen.
Thank you for your
Gracias.
questions. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, we'll go to Car. Oops. Okay. There we go. Okay. You're still muted there, love. Can you unmute? There we go. Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
My personhood is strong. And I wrote down that sense of that burning question that I have. So I have grief and a desire to understand karma, because I was reflecting as a young teen, asking myself this question, who am I? Who am I? and doing it with sincerity. I felt that I didn't have the guidance to understand at that time that silence is okay. It's an acceptable answer.
Yeah. It's the answer we always overlook, right? If I ask a question, who am I? What am I? There's just a silence in response, and yet it might be just silence for a while. We don't realize the profound nature of that answer for quite some time. That silence was there the very first time we asked that question. But maybe
Yeah.
we can just begin to recognize it now.
Yeah, and so I have grief around it and a story around it, which is there and questions around like karma, family cruelty. I know that all sounds very judgmental, but sometimes it just really comes across that way. And it makes me wonder why my journey has been taking so long. If that innocent question did emerge, there was clearly silence after, but there was not an okayness around it. I literally remember there not being an okayness. That's where the actual mind started to take hold. I remember this coming of age moment.
Yeah.
And
It's a very
then
common experience. And sometimes it takes a while to, well, we have all been raised to value the forms in a phenomenon more than anything else, more than formlessness. We might have even not really realized there was formlessness. And so even if we ask a profound question like, what really am I? Who am I? The answers that come are sorted into useful and not useful based on the mind's perspective. And it takes the silence and says not useful. In fact, we might even fear silence. It's like I have to put the TV on when I get home or the radio or something because I can't stand silence for the longest time. But the importance is given to the phenomenal answers. And that's really what's changing now, isn't it, for us, that we're beginning to recognize them secondary. Not that they're wrong, but they can't really tell us anything about that which is not a phenomenon. So of course our mind wouldn't value silence. It's normal, right? It's totally normal. How many times have we heard silence in our life and just overlooked it completely? And even when I started meditating and was on the path, even then, it's like silence, that's just dull. That's really dull. It's like, that's not what the sages are talking about. It's only when there was an actual willingness to value that maybe that might be something, maybe I haven't experienced it fully. Maybe I've just noticed it and skipped right past it because it's not on my list of important things, my mind's list of important things that are relevant to me. And it was just background silence so that the noise and the coming going of it all could happen. I mean, that gradually flipped completely 180. All human beings are trained to value phenomenal answers to any question and to totally disregard the non-phenomenal answer. We're calling it silence here, but whatever we call it. So not blaming yourself for that, right? If you are the silence, has any of that happened to you anyway? Have you wasted a long time? Has it taken a long time? From the perspective of silence, does it really matter how long that journey took? I get it. I had this victim story. I had a victim story, 24 years of seeking and 1 year of finding, I've wasted so much time, all these things would come up and I had to eventually let go of those. None of that happened to me.
Wow, none of that happened to me.
From the mind's perspective, it feels really real that I've been seeking all these years and the answer's been right there and I couldn't accept it. And it feels like I've wasted time. Because that's how it looks, right? If I think I'm a phenomenon, then whatever's going on in phenomena is totally relevant.
So is karma a phenomenon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any karma in the silence?
No, no.
And then we can say, does karma exist? Yes and no. If I think it exists, I will experience it and it'll be extraordinarily real. And we're not
Yeah.
negating that, of course. We're not negating it. But there is a point then where we can recognize that in all humility, I had to finally admit that nothing that I thought that had happened in the way that I thought it did.
That's just so hard. That
It's
that
okay, right? Of course, we might know it's true, but we have
Mhm.
an intense unwillingness to accept that at first. It's okay, right?
But also if humility is only something of a selfhood, because it has to be a self to be humble, right?
Actually, what we are is humility. What does silence actually, if we define humility as not knowing anything, what does silence know?
Is okay, I get it. It's just fact. This is just reality and seeing
An
it for what it
endless,
is.
an endless journey as a person to become humble and to let go of everything we know that we never arrive at. Silence, which knows nothing about anything, is just completely free already. Yeah,
Oh, what a playground.
it really is. Thank you, love.
Thank you for
Thank you. Okay, go to Macarena.
Hola Helen.
Hola.
A ver, eh, me está pasando que quizás sea un pensamiento, pero busco todo el tiempo la conexión del silencio o del ser, porque,
Maybe it's a thought, but I'm constantly seeking the connection with being
porque lo que vivo desde lo fenoménico no me gusta. Entonces
because what
siento
I'm
como
living through the phenomenon, I do not like it.
Who is this I that
que
you're talking about? What is this I that's seeking? What is it?
no sé.
I don't know.
Can you find it? Can you find this I that's seeking and referencing phenomena?
Eh, a veces siento que soy como dos cosas. Está el personaje y por otro lado esta conciencia
Sometimes
que
I feel that I'm two, the character and consciousness.
And which one do you want to live as? It's a trick question because, of course, we want to live as consciousness. But if we tune into that consciousness now together, that which is conscious of the seeking is not seeking, is it?
sí, es como que me encantaría vivir todo el tiempo ahí, con esa conciencia, pero después
I'd like to
en-
live in the consciousness all the time, but then
cuando tomo conciencia de este cuerpo, vamos a decir, y lo que vivo, es cada vez está peor.
when I take consciousness of when I'm conscious of this body and what I'm living, it's always getting worse.
So let's go back to consciousness. Let's experience consciousness together now. And let's explore if that consciousness is affected by anything it experiences. Is consciousness a form or formless?
Informe.
Formless.
And is consciousness affected by the mind or the body?
No.
Is consciousness trying to stay as consciousness?
No, la conciencia es siempre conciencia.
Consciousness is always consciousness.
So is this your problem? You say, I would like to stay as consciousness all the time. But is that really your problem? Something seems to be fluctuating between looking at consciousness, looking at thoughts, looking at consciousness, looking at thoughts, backwards and forwards all the time. And we're desperately trying to keep that here, looking at consciousness. But from the perspective of consciousness itself, what is happening to you as consciousness? Is this anything to do with you, this swinging backwards and forwards? It feels like it is, but let's really look. Is consciousness having an identity crisis?
No. Sí, es eso, es una crisis de identidad, sí, del personaje, claro.
Yes, it's a identity crisis of the character.
Yeah. So one thing to remember as often as you can is that before you try to solve a problem in your awakening, see if it's your problem as consciousness. There are many problems that the mind gives us and says, this is, some of them we've explored today here, you and I. How do I stay as consciousness? And how do I stop seeking? They sound like good questions. But from the perspective of who we already are, consciousness itself, it's got nothing to do with us. I can't not be consciousness. You can't be anything else than consciousness. You're watching attention go to thoughts and then come back to you, consciousness. And then it swings back to thoughts and then goes back to you, consciousness. But you're watching from behind, already free as consciousness, wherever attention goes. Whether it looks at you or looks at a form, a phenomenon, it doesn't matter to you. So instead of solving problems, first find out if they are your problems. And every time you'll find this has got nothing to do with me. I'm already free. Mind wants us to work really hard, right? But we're finished with that. It's time to rest as who we really are already. What problems can you have as consciousness? I remember this stage in my awakening, and it was so painful. It was so painful. And the greatest problem I seemed to have was, how do I remember what I'm seeing clearly right now? How do I keep a hold of that? I don't want to go back into illusion again. But I had to challenge that in the end. I had to challenge. I don't even know if I'm the one going back into illusion. Let me actually find out. Sending you some huge, huge hugs across the ocean.
Gracias.
If I were in your position and I did the same thing when I would write myself a big note and stick it everywhere in my house. I did it everywhere. I put it in my slippers, in the fridge, in the car, everywhere. By my bed, so I saw it before I went to sleep and woke up. And it said, on this note, it said, "Is this my problem?" And that was the only thing that I would check first. Is this actually a problem that consciousness has? Do I have to control attention as consciousness, even? Do I have to remember what I am, even as consciousness? So I want you to write yourself a note and stick it somewhere that you'll be able to see it easily. And don't fix a problem that isn't yours. You can't fix it, right? No matter how hard you have tried, you cannot quite manage to keep attention on consciousness all the time. And you don't need to, because you are consciousness.
Cierto, sí, estoy todo el día viendo cómo leo, medito, veo videos, estoy todo el tiempo haciendo como un esfuerzo por ser quien soy, como
All day, I am making an effort through meditation and reading to be who I am.
Why don't you make an effort when you meditate to see that you can't not be consciousness? Instead of trying to be who you are, see if it's actually possible to be anything else. Let's experience consciousness again one more time before we finish. And tell me, in that consciousness, is there any such thing as illusion?
no. Y cuando estoy ahí es tan hermoso que después es el querer estar todo el tiempo ahí, esa es la ilusión.
When I'm there, it's so beautiful that the illusion is wanting to stay there.
Yeah, the illusion is wanting to stay there. But if you're not a person who went there, you can't also come out again. You're not someone who went into consciousness. So we have to get rid of this saying, these words, when I'm there, and also the idea of staying there. Even this doesn't apply to you. These are not your problems. And when they come up, you say, no, 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 no. I'm not playing with you today. Or you can remember that it's not possible for me to stay as consciousness. It's not possible to be anything else. I didn't arrive at consciousness through a lot of effort. I am it. We are it. And we can't fall out of it either. We are this consciousness, and our mind has been walking on a journey to try to get here. And when it gets here to consciousness, it says, how do I stay here? Because I keep going out again. And how do I get back? But that's all happening in thought. You're still here as consciousness.
Sí.
This has to become the most important thing that you hold on to. Hold on to it so tightly. I am it already. I can't stay. I can't leave. I can't become it. So you be determined now, right? Determined. When these ideas come of, I've lost it again, or I've got to get back to it. I'm not playing with that. I know where it goes. I know that experience. But it's reminding yourself it's not possible to leave. If you were a person, you could leave consciousness and come in and out. But you are consciousness. Right? The character is the one that's on this journey. You're not on a journey. You didn't arrive anywhere. Just seeing what's always been true for you.
Sí. Gracias.
This does come to an end eventually, I promise. All this struggling. But it has to come from a deep determination to remember what we've said today, right? More than to go with the dream of, I lost it. I have to get back.
Ok.
Love you.
Gracias. Yo también. Gracias.
Thank you.
Me too.
We'll go to Sylvie. Hi, love.
Hello. Um, oh, shoot.
It's okay. We can see you.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm sorry. I lost you. Oh, you're here.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
We're both
Okay.
here.
So I feel that there is so much suffering that the determination is growing.
Yeah.
Yet today and tonight there has been a big feeling of failure, of having failed.
Mm.
So I felt like I fell asleep to the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I could totally relate to everything you described today. So I've been thinking about myself instead of experiencing myself, which I am practicing experiencing myself. So I feel that the mind, like I have been hijacked and pushed to or driven to act in an unloving way towards myself and other people. So after that, there was a lot of guilt and shame and fear of being punished. So I feel like I don't want to touch that because I know I'm going to suffer even more afterwards. And I was wondering about that. I feel that my life has become my worst nightmare, and it's been a few years. But today again, there was a thought, oh my God, this is another nightmare happening. And is that consciousness creating that or pushing me to act in this way so I can experience that I am free in the midst of the worst nightmare?
I think you said it right at the start that everything we go through that we don't like is just building that determination, that devotion to what is actually real. And every time I follow the mind and I get stuck in a experience or a cul-de-sac of, the dead end of going around and round in this experience, it gives me even greater determination that I really want to stay in the actual experience of what I am. So what if that was the purpose of these kind of things? Every time I fall back into the mind, instead of blaming myself, I can say, wow, that really just sucked. It was awful. And I'm even more convinced now that that is not what I want. As if every time we have an experience of what we don't like, it's like adding fuel to a fire. Have you ever seen a steam train? They have this big fire going on, right? And they've got to put coal into the fire. And only when the fire is hot enough does the train start to actually move. There's enough steam. And for a long time, they're shoveling and shoveling and shoveling. And every experience we don't like, where we seem to get lost in illusion, is just adding more coal right to the fire. From there, from that perspective, even if we do seem to listen to the mind and get all tangled up again and have a really terrible time, it's not been a waste. Oh no, I came out of that and I have some more coal now, right? To put in the fire. You can feel it that something, or consciousness, awareness, whatever we want to call it. Yesterday we were calling it silence. It is just less and less interested in experiencing itself through a thought structure. And every time it goes there, it's like, oh, that feels terrible. Absolutely. Like touching something really hot and you burn your skin. So what if the only purpose of this illusion or these experiences is to build that fire of devotion to what's true? And from there, nothing is wasted then, right? Every time we feel that we are suffering, it is another opportunity to renew our devotion even more. So that when it seems like I could go this way into the mind or this way into reality, consciousness, that this thought train is less and less available. And more it just kind of goes back to silence, awareness by itself. Really, it's attention in those moments, right? The mind is saying something over here, and attention's going, oh, I want to listen. I need to listen. Oh, there I go. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And we're trying to bring it over to the consciousness.
Yeah.
So the more fuel for that fire, the easier it just already goes over here. Let me experience what's actually real. So using every time you suffer as fuel, then you've used it for the highest purpose and you don't have to repeat that experience again.
So when huge fears arise, like, oh my God, this is going to happen. This is terrible. I don't want that to happen. So today I said I'm not doing anything mind says I should do now. It's going to create a more chaotic mess if I follow mind. So I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting and I'm not doing. So would you recommend it? Is it okay to say, okay, I'm not doing anything? Maybe I created a mess for other people, but now I'm not touching anything. I'm not doing anything.
Let's
I'm just
experience
trusting.
let's experience who you really are right now. Let's dive into that. What actually are you?
So immediately I can feel the spaciousness, I can hear the silence, I am aware of everything.
Yeah. That spacious silence, let's call it. Can it make a mistake? Can it even choose whether to listen to the mind and do what the mind says or not? Is it doing anything?
No, I feel it could not hurt anybody. So like the guilt is irrelevant.
Yeah.
When I tune into that.
So even this idea that I'm leaving the mind alone today and I'm going to stay over here. Let's examine that. Is that true for this spacious silence?
No, I don't feel that I'm doing anything. Mine is arising and the fear and the guilt.
Yeah.
But it's arising and I don't have to do anything.
Could
It
you do
can be.
anything with it? Could you do anything?
Okay. Yeah, I don't feel I have to do anything, and
But can spaciousness, can it do anything? Does it have any hands with which to do anything? Any form? Because there's a whole difference in experience between I don't have to do anything and can I actually do anything as spaciousness?
right now I can see that aliveness is arising as forms.
Yeah.
But it's like me.
Did you make any of that happen? Are you like, okay, now I'm going to create a thought. Now I'm going to step away from thought. It's just happening like rain falling out of a cloud, isn't it? Just forms are just falling out of you. Could you do anything with those forms as spaciousness?
I feel there is openness for action to arise, to be needed and to arise.
Yeah.
But I don't feel, no, I don't know. I don't feel that I can, but I don't know.
So it's something to just investigate, right? Because what we feel stuck with at this point is this kind of spiritual sense of doing. Okay, I'm going to just leave the mind alone and hang out here as my real self. This is the last job we give ourselves. So it's just good to imagine this, explore this together and to probably take it into a question, just to see, experience yourself as you really are, and then just play with this. Can I actually do anything? Actions happen, things get done. But as this intangibility, this formlessness, am I orchestrating it in the way that the mind thinks I am?
Okay, my mind is blank right now, so I don't know.
That's okay, right? The blankness is actually an answer in a way. The mind says, but 2 minutes ago it was certain. It was certain that, right? So just feeling into that, spending a little time with it.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you, love. Okay, we'll take 2 more, Miguel and Saima, and then we'll probably be out of time. We'll see. So Miguel.
Hello.
Hi.
Um, it has been an amazing satsang, Helen. Thank you. I heard so many times you saying that either we are experiencing or we are thinking about it. But today something really, yeah, what came today is that we have a choice. We can choose to go with it. And well, now I have to leave it, but it's good too. But yeah, something that came is like I was on the, it was the experience of just being,
Mhm.
and then this thought come that, oh yeah, that's it. And it's like I need that thought to validate the being.
Do
So
you?
no, actually, yeah, that's what it's like. Something like came like as innocent, very innocent thought. Oh yeah, that's it.
Mm.
But I feel like it's I feel like if it's still very strong, like it has the last say.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
So if we look at the actual experience, if we experience what we really are together right now, let's dive into that experience. What word do you want to use? We've been calling it beingness, but let's experience the beingness. And experiencing ourselves as beingness has its own stamp of validity, of authority, right? Beingness is beingness, we experience it. And then the mind says, that's it. The mind says afterwards, a little later, that's it. So that's okay. But if we recognize before the mind says that, there is already a validation of it. The experience of it is the validation of it, isn't it? It's real because it's real. We know, we can feel this is real. There's something authentic here. So the mind might always think that its opinion is the final authority. That's okay. But even before that, let's not skip right past the actual confirmation that we experience ourselves. Beingness, silence, stillness, consciousness, whatever we're calling this, formlessness. It is its own authentication. If it could speak, it would say, I am real, or something, right? It would say, I am true, or something. But the mind speaks afterwards, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's like, never mind. Yeah.
You
It's
have that
giving
choice.
importance to a thought that it's a thought.
Yeah. And you have that choice to let the beingness validating itself be the main event,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the main event. And the mind is going to come on the stage afterwards and say, yeah, that was so good. We found a beingness, and he's got the microphone for a while, but it's okay. Mind will say so many things, and it's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we're not trying to get rid of it or anything.
Yes. What surprised me is that I gave the importance of like the last authority. Like it was, and I know it's not, and I can see it's a thought, I can see that it went, but still I'm holding on to it because I wanted to hold it on to ask you the question. But it was gone a long time ago. So it's like,
I'm gonna go find that thought and bring it back. Hold on to it.
why? Yeah, why so? I don't know.
So we can just notice that, right? You can just notice, oh, yeah, without any further judgment of yourself. Just, I went with thought as the most important thing, and it's okay. And maybe next time I'll have a different preference.
Yeah, even now.
Or now, yeah.
Mm.
And beingness itself, does it really care which one comes first, mind or beingness?
No.
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 It's like the mind takes center stage for a long time, right? And it's not bothered at all. It knows itself. It is itself. It's complete within itself. It's not shouting, get off the stage.
No. But this that today I was working with Pilar on the now that I am formless. And this idea of trying to be a long time there. I know what I'm saying is not the right way, but
It's okay.
seems like such an effort. It's like, wow, I like it better when Helen says 20 minutes is enough.
Yeah.
And now it has to be the whole day.
But
I'm like,
what is it that is already itself? Right? Instead of trying to make something be aware of beingness all day, we're spending 20 minutes in meditation, noticing that beingness is still here, still here, still here, still here. And if we don't look at beingness, if we don't look at ourselves as beingness, and we spend the whole rest of the day looking at thoughts, has anything changed for beingness? You're still
no.
here. So the purpose of our practice is, first of all, to see I'm not that which is trying to make something happen. I am that which is already itself completely. Now you're smiling.
Yeah. Mine is so tricky.
These last few problems that we seem to have, like how do I keep coming back to beingness? They seem so real for the longest time.
Yeah.
But we can always look at these problems actually against the experience of beingness itself and say, this doesn't really feel like it's got anything to do with me.
Yeah.
Beingness is not changing. Whether it's looking outwards at the world of form or looking at itself is irrelevant, really. And paradoxically, when you realize that, it kind of always looks at itself. It doesn't matter, right? Beingness isn't changing. If you're unaware of it for 1,000 years in different bodies, it's still exactly the same. It just feels nicer in the body when we notice
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll finish with Saima.
Hello.
Hi, love.
Um, really, really good.
It's good to see you. Yeah.
Good to see you too. I guess just like I think it was Miguel that was saying, like, why am I searching for that thing that's already gone?
It's like I had a question and then I was waiting for my turn and then it's gone.
Like in this moment, it just feels okay.
Well, let's just be okay together then. We can just be here together and be okay. If you want.
Although okay, I'm not searching for it. I'm just
It came out.
narrating. I'm narrating that something inside my stomach feels like jelly, like it's going like that. And I'm like, oh, that's a strange sensation. I don't think I've ever noticed that.
I had for the first few years when I was teaching, I just always had this feeling that there was a washing machine, laundry going on in my stomach, you know, fear and nerves and all of that. And sometimes still a little nervousness, but you can just notice that sensation, right? Just notice it. Can you just let it be there a little bit and not try to push it away? Don't have to like it, of course.
It's been like a pleasurable
You say that again for me, love?
It's like there's even like a nice, pleasurable sense of like,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing, but they just.
There's a pleasurable sensation and a jelly sensation, and they're just kind of having a party.
I often wonder what this is. Actually, this is the first time that I ever like not suppressed it in front of people.
So let's just play with that. What is this? We can just curiously, it's not something we have to answer verbally, but what is it, right? The body wants to move, do its thing.
There's something like that going on that's going on. You're in it now. Like
Maybe we just have a satsang one time where we all just let the body do whatever it wants to do, right? Just it feels nice if you feel into it. It feels really nice to just not be constantly trying to control something. You know, or people might think I'm weird, you know. I had to really look at that when I started teaching. It was like, what if I say something really stupid? And it's happened so many times. It happens every satsang. Now it's just funny because I just don't really, my mouth will say whatever it says, right? Your body will do whatever it does.
it was so nice.
Mhm. Enjoy it. We're just kind of hanging out being okay, right? We're just being totally okay. the more awakening goes more deeply, then there's a natural intuitive way the body wants to move, whether we're just walking or doing some yoga asanas or just sitting. The body just might want to open and stretch or something. It's really not natural for us to sit still all the time, And there's not so much energy being constantly used to believe in thoughts. There's just more life force that's here, free. That feels like joyful movement sometimes. And the freedom of just not caring what anyone thinks about you, what you do and say. It's not that you're going to be mean to anyone, your own opinion of yourself is the most important, right? Your own love for yourself. Like, wow, look at this mind and body I've got. Isn't it cool, all the things it can do?
There's been a lot of beauty in my life lately, but also a sense of like, maybe it's not okay to let it be seen, if that's, I don't know, if that's the right way.
Yeah. Again, seeing beauty as another hallmark of awakening really starting to deepen. And seeing beauty in ordinary things that everyone else would seem to overlook. And it might make us seem a little weird. Like when I make my cup of tea in the morning, and there's sometimes some bubbles on the surface, and those bubbles are, for a few seconds, they're there, and they're always different, right? Always different arrangement of bubbles. They're never the same twice. And if I take the tea bag out, the drips are always unique and different in the order and the amount. The tea bag swings around and then goes back again, and it's doing this dance in front of me. And then the squirrels in the garden, and they do this thing where they just jump and flip over for the fun of it. And somehow you have the eyes to see it, right? Because you're not so lost in your head anymore. You start to see that there is a lot more beauty than what we have thought. And eventually all of life is seen to be beautiful, even the things that the mind would reject.
I guess now in my thing, maybe it's the thing that I might be able to help me with is it feels like when I try to share, there's like a immediate sort of like feedback that says, in not so many words, who do you think you are?
Can you see that feedback as beautiful also? It's just something inside, deeply inside, that is trying to protect you.
Mm.
It's quite beautiful in itself, isn't it? Something says, don't get too ahead of yourself, don't get too big, don't get too, it's not safe, or you shouldn't do that. And it's just something that's trying to protect you, right? To keep you safe.
What if it's coming from seemingly another person?
Could you say that again, love? Just a little louder?
What if it's coming from seemingly another person?
It's just the same, really, right? If we are the one being, as we realize that more and more, does it matter if it's coming out of my mouth or someone else's? I can see it with this from the same place. Any judgment coming at me is only kind of a reflection of where I might judge myself. It's me judging me, isn't it, really, still? But are you affected by that? From the place of what you really are?
A part of me knows that I'm not. And then there's still like a tightening that happens around the chest. For example, I just came from having tea with a friend, and that thing that sometimes happened. And I remember having a moment of like, I feel the tightening in my chest, but I have no desire to correct the, have no desire to change or correct what just happened.
Yeah. So for a while, there'll be two versions of yourself, right? One that is increasingly aware that nothing is affecting me at all, and that all of this is me anyway. And then there's also something that's trying to, from the old way, it's trying to be a certain way, show up a certain way, so that I'm not judged or rejected or something, right? And you can feel that as a contraction in the body, a tightness. And even that is just something that we can, just like the arms move, we can just let the contraction move, right? It's an inner thing. It's totally okay. The real you, the authentic beingness, does it need this contraction to go?
It's a story that says if you knew how to deal with this, you wouldn't have relationships that sometimes do that.
But we have a choice that we can listen to that old version of ourselves, or we can experience the real version in any moment. It's which one we're giving more attention to, isn't it?
Mm.
For a long
It's
time,
like,
there was a deep peace that had started to develop for me, even when I was around other body minds, which previously there was a lot of fear and self-judgment and even judgment coming from other body minds. And I wanted that to stop for a long time. I wish I could just feel only comfortable. There was these two versions of me, one that was completely peaceful, whatever was going on, and one that was just kind of really socially awkward, you know? And finally, when I got to the place of it doesn't matter if this one that's just struggling, if that never goes, it's okay. It's held in this bigger version of myself. And that's when it started to melt away. When I wasn't trying to get rid of it, it went. Can you see even that you might be able to see even that as beautiful eventually?
I can see, maybe getting to see it as funny, but as amusing, because I feel like I've seen other things that used to give me the same reaction. That's like, oh, I mean, I understand, or this is cute, or, not cute as in small, but, like, can you believe this? You used to believe this is real, kind of thing.
And you can ask a kind of question to help open that up. How would the real self see the old self? How does the beingness see the mind? Or how does consciousness feel about the sense of separation. You know, they're all kind of questions pointing to the same thing. We know how mind feels about mind. What does consciousness feel about mind?
Yeah, like it feels so obvious. There's no, at least today, that there's no need to go in there and fix the thing, or it just it feels so clear.
Yeah. So our life can be an opportunity to see what it looks like from the real place of consciousness, right? And most of all, where we would normally reject something or want it to go away, what does consciousness feel about this? That can actually be a question that opens a door. And actually, when I started to live from that question, I couldn't find anything that I wanted to get rid of. Even the thing that wanted to get rid of things, I didn't want to get rid of that even. It kind of turned into something really beautiful, like, wow, I made this totally dysfunctional, separate sense of self. It's totally shy, and so you won't believe now that I used to be really shy, but I was. Really, really couldn't actually go anywhere or say anything to anyone. And for the longest time, I wanted to get rid of that. But eventually, I fell in love with it. From the real place, I fell in love with it. Here's this creation of this separate sense of self, and it's as beautiful as a flower or a bird or something, a sunset. Or it's in my mind that would say it's ugly, right? So life will show us those things that we're still seeing from the perspective of the mind rather than from the real self. The things we're trying to get rid of or want to go away, we can find beauty even there.
I'm thinking of a relationship that I used to fight with, and now it's kind of like, oh, I see I see the flower in this one. It's like, this is how they show love, or this is how, it's just kind of like, how did I ever stick? Like, how did this ever like become? Yeah, and I guess it never ends, and the other things that feels like they stick now, keep on sticking.
Beautiful. We had better leave it there. We could talk all day, but time is marching on. But really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much. We said a lot, really, considering we didn't know what we were going to say. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so that's a lovely place to leave it today, to leave our satsang. Although satsang is our life, of course, rather than something we do. It's been really beautiful to be here with you all and to just taste this authentic place that we really are. Thank you. Namaste.